All right, the day of reckoning. Yes, my time back at home in Senegal. Senegal was a time like no other. For this trip, it wasn't about so much the fun as it was about learning about where I came from, learning about the history. In the video front, you can see the African Renaissance statue. It was a statue created in 2010 from the great mind of the president of the time of Senegal, who thought to create that statue that you see on the screen to empower Africans all over the planet to take accountability of their actions and not to leave it in the hands, so to speak, of others, groups of people, most notably white supremacists, but to take full accountability of where they are and their future and where they're headed. So here, this is my arrival at the airport in Dakar. There's a great brother I met here, a part of the upper echelon of the Senegal culture, and then some of the individuals that work at the airport. All right, now I'm about to head to my lodge. You can see the terrain. Senegal, from the airport, the Dakar airport, it is mostly desert terrain. It's really hot. The temperature is hot. It's actually warm year-round. You see my driver there, and we're headed on our way to my hotel. It was called Yaas Hotel in Dakar, in the neighborhood of Amades, which is the premier neighborhood in Dakar. I was looking for Acorn City. I think Acorn City is somewhere in the peninsula in Dakar, but I didn't see it. But I heard from the locals some things about it. There's one of the amazing mosques, the many amazing mosques in the country of Senegal. Wow, look at that. I noticed that the style was similar to that pretty much all around. But yeah, it looks pretty cool. All right, yeah, that's my hotel. That's where I stayed at. Yaas Hotel, one of the better hotels in Dakar.
So it's really good at
All right, this is me headed out at night to the jiu-jitsu class. And subsequently, what I found out wasn't a class, but an actual competition that was going on that night. You can see these two brothers duking it out. You got a back take on the big guy. Actually, the guy that took him down was the one that won the tournament. He's a pretty tough guy I sparred against. I mean, he's really good, really fast, really fast. Yeah, you can see the crowd there. Everybody was having a good time. It was very festive. People was really into it. Everybody was clapping and yelling. There you can see the progenitors of judo and jiu-jitsu, respectively. But yeah, they're on the ground right now. He has him in his closed guard. The big guy, the long guy does, but he was able to get out of it. Now they're back on their feet, and they're trying to jockey position and get an underhook. And it looks like the other guy was able to get a takedown of sorts. Now they're scrambling back to their feet. That was a pretty good matchup. That was really actually high intense. It was constant movement, and it was really fun. That tall guy, actually, I think, the little guy, he was so quick, and then he kind of tired him out after a while. But that tall guy, I sparred against him too. He was really good as well. He had a good close guard. Pretty strong guy. It's like they're stopping here for some reason. I don't recall why. It's like they was just getting him in position. But yeah, they're partaking in the martial art called Jiu-Jitsu, and they're partaking once again in the competition that they held that night on a Saturday. As you can see, the guys, they're going back and forth. And like I said earlier, it was a pretty high intense matchup. Doing a little hand fighting here. Hand fighting is going to try to get control of the opponent by, let's say, getting an underhook and necktie. It's like trying to go for an ankle lock here. Try to grab his neck. Trying to go for a knee bar, actually. thought for sure that this small guy won. I don't think that was a knee bar, but maybe. Yeah, actually, the smaller guy did win, as you can see on the screen. So yeah, kudos to him. Very good competitor. Very good. Definitely well-deserved victory on his part. They're giving out the awards here, and doing a little filming action. That was a great night. Really great night. And once again, really good guys. Great group of guys. I think the gentleman is of the cap on from Atlanta, Georgia. He was doing the refereeing, and yeah, you can see him with the champion. And the professor, he's taking pictures there. Once again, can't say enough. Outstanding group of men, and it was a great night of fights. And definitely enjoy it. The name of the gym is called Bokk Jiujitsu. So if you're in Dakar, decide to come visit, find out, go back to the route, you can stop by the gym and check out Bokk's Jiu-Jitsu and take a couple classes there and learn a little something. Very cool. All right, so this is me out at the nightlife. It was a great time. Like any other place, you had an assortment of bars and hotel and clubs and so forth. My hotel is not too far away from there, Yaas Hotel. It's me and one of the young ladies from Dakar. We're walking into the lounge restaurant, having a drink, and yeah, she said cheese. After the time was over, I overlooked the ocean front. You can't really see it because it's so dark out there. We had a pool in the center of the place. Really cool. Really enjoyed it. Nice ambiance to it. Very stylish there. So yeah. Alright, it's one of the other clubs / lounges. Near the waterfront. Had the whole place to ourselves. Alright, so now I'm headed to Gore Island.
From
Gore
Africa,
Island was an island of
but I came back.
Captivity for many enslaved Africans. It would be the last time they would be on the African continent before having their life ruined by a group of people that was a piece of shit. That used them to make money off of them and to harass them and their ancestors to this day. This is me professing my statement of perseverance here. They tried to recess us, but we're still dominant. Couldn't stop us, thanks to the Most High. So here now I'm at the House of Slaves. It is a place where many slaves were held captive, and they were put into chambers, men and women. The women were brutally assaulted and raped, forced into incestuous ways by their slave owners, who would have sex with the kids and would do horrible things to the women. They would divide the women up based off of their breast size and how light-skinned they was, which is why you had the whole colorism in Latin America and amongst African Americans to this day. That's all trained to assess and focus on the outside instead of the inside by these evil people. And some of them would get their freedom if they were mulattoes. They could stay on the island, but many of the people had a horrible existence. They had to go to the bathroom within their chambers. The women had larger chambers than the men, because of course they want to do things to the women, so they would give the women a little bit more of a better place to stay at, if you can call it that. The men, they would stay in these small chambers, and they would be forced to stand up and sleep standing up, and to defecate where they laid their head at. And if they would cry, if the women or men cried out, they'd be put into a chamber, a small chamber where they couldn't even stand, and they would be there for potentially days on end, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, when Nelson Mandela came here, he went to one of the small chambers of punishment, and he came out with I think tears in his eyes, because just he was thinking about what he dealt with potentially, and then also what those slaves had to deal with. It was a horrible experience. But these moments, even though it's sombering, is very necessary for me as a man of African descent to know where I came from, to know where I'm going. I'm talking with the brother here. We're talking about blacks, African Americans, and Africans, how we need to unite and stop bullshit and hating one another. African Americans making fun of how Africans sound and all that goofy crap, and others Africans maybe saying that blacks don't take advantage of all the opportunities, and realize that we've all been duped to divide and conquer. They did this with the Mexicans and the Native Americans, and then, as you see, took all their land. And they still punish many of those people to this day, because it's all about divide and conquer. You can Google this. My white professors told me this. It's not just come out of my mind. I did my own research too. And that was just designed to take over the land and hoard the resources, which is done to this day in one way or the other. But yeah, we was talking about how we need to kick that noise, get rid of it, get rid of the duality mindset, and we talked about how we've been trained to hate one another, but that we need to love one another. And African Americans, guys, you need to come back to Africa. Don't complain about racism. You ain't been back to Africa. And that's not saying that from a holier than thou standpoint. It's saying it from a standpoint of that if we want to, we want love, we got to give love. And it starts by loving ourselves and coming back home. All right, so still here at the House of Slaves. You got these people here, they're entitled. They get to come back here and see what the people dealt with, and how the ancestors made horrible lives for these people, and how they still do passive aggressive racism against them. But that's okay, because we're still here. Divine punishment is in order. All right, so now I am in the Gambia. The Gambia is a country in the center, smack dab in the center of Senegal, and specifically in the village of Jufuri. And, I'm here in Jufuri, and this is the village where Kunta Kinte is from. Kunta Kinte was a slave who resisted bondage and fought and ran away. Eventually got his foot cut off, but he kept fighting, and his spirit lived on. All right, this hit me with the kids from Jufuri, the village of Jufuri, and subsequently later on with the ancestor or the one of the family members of Kunta Kinte and some of the other locals, one of the owners of the local restaurants in the Gambia, and some of the other locals from the Gambia. And then when I came back to Senegal, one of the young ladies there, she was actually from Liberia. All right, the University of Chicks Anta Dopi, Dakar. So went to the university and wanted to check out the people, talk to the locals, talk to the women and so forth. And very, very respectful people. One of the things about Senegal is that it is very conservative, very conservative, and that's due to the fact of this Islamic heritage. It is a Islamic country. Over 90% of the people are Islamic, and I like how the people dress. You don't really see a lot of women just coming out in whatever Mama clothes. Women are very respectful. They keep themselves looking nice. They have respect for themselves, and I think subsequently, in many ways, many women get that. They don't. I didn't see it. I felt like there was an energy of modesty amongst the people that you don't really see in the West. And I would say a lot of that's due to the Islamic upbringing of the people and the understanding that it's not just one, but it's us. We're all in it together with God as their compass. That was the driver from the hotel to drive me around the university. And he's going over the different aspects of the university and the people. I was curious about how the people culture was, so he was explaining to me about the Islamic faith and that this is the only university in Dakar. I didn't know that. Yeah. So one thing I know is about the people there, and I was told this about the people in Tanzania, is that many of the people look similar to the African Americans. That makes any sense. Even though both Tanzania and Senegal is sub-Saharan culture, the phenotype of the people is slightly different. And when I was there in Senegal, the people look very similar to even some of my relatives, especially the women. And, they look very similar. And that the reason would tell you that's because of our heritage with one another coming from that part of Africa, West Africa. Excuse me. So it was pretty cool to see that. Even some of the mannerisms were similar to African Americans. And I asked people, are they influenced by Western culture on TV? And some of them say yeah, but some of them said no. It's just the way I'm looking, it's the way I look. He asked me a question, I was a little confused about what he said. And they had like the kind of, eyebrow, eyebrow raising look that I see some African American sisters have too. I didn't see that in Tanzania, or nor in Morocco, but I did see it in Senegal and somewhat in the Gambia. So it was interesting, and I think that has to do with genetics and and just some things I've read over the years, books dating back to the '70s and beyond. That there were certain ways and behavioral patterns of Africans within that region of the world, to include the book The Roots.
If I like walk around the university,
when it was talked about
walk around.
in the earlier chapters about how if someone doesn't want to talk to you and they ignore you, that's a sign they don't want to be talked to. But all right, so now I'm here at the Civilization, the Museum of Black Civilization. So got to see the story from the African perspective. There's the great fighter Jack Johnson. He is
First black heavyweight champion.
one of the first. He was the first black heavyweight champion. And there's some African warriors there. So yeah, it was good seeing the layout of a museum from the African perspective instead of the Western perspective so much, so to speak. And yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool experience. Excuse me. And I enjoyed it. I have a degree in history, so I've always been interested to understand about the origins of mankind and where we come from. And so to get to soak in this portion of history through experience was definitely a treat. Definitely a treat. It's like a indigenous cloth there on the wall. But yeah, it's me walking around the museum and looking at the different artifacts that they have there at the museum. All right, so now I'm at the beachfront. One thing I know about Senegal, another thing I know about Senegal, in addition to its Islamic culture, is that the people are really heavy into working out. You see the people working out on the beaches after duty hours, presumably, and you would have them working out, be it running or wrestling on the beachfront or playing soccer. But one thing for certain, you will see thousands upon thousands of people all throughout the city, but most notably on the beachfronts, working out. It was very, very interesting sight to see. The people definitely cared about their physical health greatly, and they took very much pride into it. I didn't see so much in Tanzania, but the states at the top of Senegal, I think that this harkens back to their culture of a warrior mentality. I did notice there it seemed a little bit more militant than some other African cultures I've been to include Tanzania. All right, so now I'm at the most western tip of West Africa, professing my statement of perseverance. They said we would never come back. They would, we were nothing. We were animals and this and that. But obviously they were wrong, because I came back, and many Africans are coming back. Many Africans that want to know about who they are and where they come from are coming back. And through the grace of God, they can't stop us. So yeah, that was my time in Senegal, and then also the Gambia. I had some additional footage of a long layover I had in Morocco, but I really wanted to focus this video on Senegal and the Gambia because the history of the transatlantic slave trade. Coming back to Africa, being around the people that are classified as sub-Saharan African, which is the people I come from. And then also, I wanted to make this video focus on empowering all those of African descent that, we're not chained or locked down to one location. There was always a prison put on us, whether it was chains used, as you saw some of the videos that I posted on the vlog over the past month, or intimidation by calling us stupid or less than human, 3/5 human, and that we wouldn't amount to nothing, that we were nothing. And the only thing to keep us going was our faith in the Most High. Even to this day, we're still hated on simply because we have a higher percentage of hue in our skin than other groups of people, which, based on my research, is completely illogical. Is a behavior based in ego and the need to pretend that you're superior over one person when you're actually not, which normally equates to an inferior complex that the people who assess over skin color have. But I wanted this to be a focus of empowerment. There's some somberness to it, but there's also empowerment to know that you're not locked down in one place. You can go home, you can go back to Africa, you can go anywhere you want, anywhere that you feel you'll find peace and knowledge of self. You're not locked down. There's no chains on you. The chains are on your head. It's all in here. And for me, also from a personal standpoint, it was an empowering experience, a trek or a pilgrimage back home, specifically to Senegal, and touch down in the Gory Island, so that I know my root, know where I'm from, know what I've been through, know what my people have been through, know what we suffered through, but that despite it all, we're still here. And that, hate took me away, but only love could bring me back. Let love be your guiding force throughout your time on this planet. Till next time.